Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I know I've been away for a while, but guess what? I'm back tonight and we have a great conversation. So, you know how we do it. I'm going to stop talking for a minute and share. And you need to share it with all your friends. You need to go ahead and start a couple of watch parties. We're going to have a great conversation. And as I said on one of my posts I said, we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about injustices, justice, after football, the whole 9 yards, nonprofits. So, because we have an expert tonight. So, when we have experts on our show, we like to pull out everything that we can and take good notes. So, if you would go ahead and share while I share as well. So, give me a second. It takes me a minute because I am challenged in this area, but I'm still good. I just want you to know that. All right. I think we're ready to go. All right. Again, I want to say thank you to all of my followers for joining us tonight. And if you are new to the broadcast, I want you to know that my name is Sonya and I am the transition coach. I deal with everything related to transition, whether somebody in your family has died, you've retired, or you've started a new career, you've just graduated from college or high school, or gotten out of the army, or gotten out of jail, and you don't know what to do next. So I help you move from your then to your now to your next. I have a couple of books out there I would like to share. One is called Divorce in the Upper Room, and it talks about my experience of going through a divorce and some things to do, some things not to do. And it just deals with me. It doesn't deal with the other person. It's not a man bashing book. It's a little Christian centered, has prayers at the end of every chapter. I think you can benefit from it. And then my latest book is called Transition from Then to Now to Next. And again, we talk about everything related to transition. My main focus is to help you to not get stuck in any one area. Sometimes when someone dies in our family, we don't know how to move forward. We don't know what to do next. Sometimes when we go through a divorce, we don't know what to do next. And so the book can help you in that area. But tonight I am super duper excited to have one of my newfound friends and just a great all-around guy that I'm excited to have on the show tonight, Mr. Hinton Battle the second. Welcome, Mr. Battle.
Well, thank you, Ms. Crow. How are you this evening?
I am absolutely wonderful. I am thrilled about our conversation tonight. Mr. Battle is a man of many abilities. I'll say that. I'll leave that right there. He's going to introduce himself in just a minute, but I want to tell you how I met him. I met him through working on a project called Project Clean Slate. And I was introduced to him by my niece, and he has proven to be such an asset to my life, personally and professionally. It's an honor to know him. So I want you, if you would, sir, to go ahead and tell us a little about yourself before we get started with our questions.
Well, thank you, Sonya, but I'll make it quick and easy, more or less, as much as I don't like to talk about myself. It's about more or less like I tell folks, not who I am, it's just what I do. Like I say, the name is Hinton Battle, which is a family's name. So I have it's about 5 of us. The name is continuing going on. My youngest son has one, Hinton the fourth now. So it's a great family name. I have a cousin with the exact same name who's a 3-time Tony Award winner. So a lot of times we get mixed up to a lot of people because they'll see that name and see my name because it's a very unique name. Born and raised in a wonderful city by the name of Fort Myers, Florida. I'm an only child. My mother was an educator for 30-something years. First grade. Great thing about my mom, she's the oldest of 10 that was out of a small town area up in Gaston County in the North Florida area, and then they moved to South Florida. My mom was one of 5 teachers that were the early ones to teach white kids at the particular time. So education was a big part in my life. My dad and my uncle became carpenters. The oldest uncle went off to school, but the younger two stayed home. My dad was the middle child. They started in carpentry. My dad got killed when I was 8. My uncle continued and went on, became a multimillionaire in construction. So like I tell people, that was a good time and a bad time for me, because my uncle worked me often, and often. There was no pay that came with the working often. I just want to let you all know, So, oh yes, I was lucky some days if I ate. He said to your family, I'll feed you. So, but my uncle was very instrumental in my life to teach me in business. I watched him be successful in what he did. Here you had a guy with a 12th grade education. Like I said, became a multimillionaire in construction at the age of 33 in a town with still, races at the time in Fort Myers. Then he went into road construction and a variety of different businesses that he had. But the biggest thing that my uncle had that I did not like at the time was that my uncle loved his people and his community. And so when my uncle built his third dream home, which is about 8,000 square feet, tennis court, basketball court, pool, jacuzzi, putt-putt golf, and beside the house, he had a guest house about 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, with a game room. And he built in the neighborhood, you know what I mean? And my uncle caught a lot of flack from everybody that lived in the black sections. Like, why didn't you build it on the beach down in Fort Myers Beach? We got Fort Myers Beach down here in Naples and Sanibel. He said I didn't grow up on the beach. And I used to tell my uncle all the time. So this will sum up kind of how I am. I used to tell my uncle all the time, I say, you do so much for the people in the community. You giving back, you fight to make sure the jobs come over here and the money come over here and do all this kind of stuff. And they just be going off on you. They be mad, they be jealous, and still do. So my uncle told me 2 things that always stuck with me. One was, he said, when you know, you teach. And when you have, you give. So I say, all my knowing, I know, and all I have, I'm going to keep. And you keep going on with it. And so basically what he was talking about, there are a lot of people who just don't know certain things. So you learn to share the knowledge with them. And then when you are being blessed, you have to be a blessing, basically what he was saying. And I told him, look, it won't be me. Well, all my life, that's all I've been doing, as being a blessing with folks. And so that's how you know of one of my non-for-profits, which is Project GOO. And Steve, who you got a chance to meet, came up with the acronym for GOO, which is giving opportunity to others. And then, there's a variety of other different stuff that I do. My uncle also was the president at one time for the state of Florida for several years for the NAACP. Wow. So, he wanted to go and preach and march and give his money and do sit-ins. I say, y'all can do that. Ain't what I'm doing. Well, like we say again, that's all I've been doing. So it is a wonderful thing to be influenced by someone to put you in a path to do great and good things. And so last but not least, outside of that, I've always been a good leader, but a good athlete. I have people who come after me who've done pretty well. Some became really, really famous names we can talk about a little later, but I was a good athlete at a young age, so I've always been a leader. So I'm very proud of that. So education was big, like I said, my mom, business with my uncle, but sports. My dad was a very talented athlete too coming up. So that's a little bit about me. So,
Wow, man, that's impressive. I can only imagine if your uncle was doing that now and telling some of the kids I run into, telling them, okay, you're going to work, but you're not going to get paid. I can only imagine the conversation that would be in dealing with some of our kids now. It's a different time. It's a different world.
Yep.
It's a different world. But let me just first start off by saying thank you so much for all that you do for the community. Thank you so much for all that you do for us. And I'm talking about the African-American community here. I really, really, really appreciate that. And we're going to get into some of that in just a few minutes. And I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but you said some things. So let me ask you. So when you were in college, you played football in college. Is that correct?
Florida State University.
Florida State.
Florida State.
So how did you end up at Florida State and not Florida A&M?
Okay. Well, when I was coming up, my aunt, she was an educator too, and she's a part of sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. And the Deltas would take us at a young age to college. And the only college they would take us to was Bethune-Cookman. So I've been a Bethune-Cookman fan and a supporter for years. And that was the only HBCU I knew about. Now, my mom went to Florida Memorial. It was in St. Augustine, and then it moved to Miami. But we always went to Cookman this, Cookman that, Cookman this, Cookman that. And so, you know, as time got, when I was playing ball and you playing in the southern part of Florida's just like Georgia when it comes to football. You got great athletes. So even if a kid's in Georgia, he's a great athlete. He's not gonna go to Fort Valley. He's not gonna go to Albany State. It's gonna be Georgia or Georgia Tech. You know what I mean? So the same thing here. You know, we had University of Miami, we had the Florida Gators and the Florida Seminoles. And so that's how they did. But how I actually got to Florida State, I became a Florida State fan later. We grew up Gator fans. I had 3 younger cousins that came under me because I didn't go off to college. I stayed home to work with my uncle, and I started handling the road construction project as a whole another creature. So all 3 went to school. One went to University of Miami, one went to South Carolina, and the other one went to Florida State. And so the one that went to Florida State, we were pretty close all his last several years in high school. So I had to take his mom, which is my aunt, to all the games up there. And I had friends at fam in there. And so I walked on to college at Florida State University.
Wow. So now let me make sure. So you walking on, that means you good.
Well, hey, you said it. I did. You know, I'm trying to say, just won't let you know. Okay. Won't let you know.
Come on, let me know. So let me stop for a minute. Hello, Yvonne. Hello, Carolyn. Yvonne has a son he's playing football in Baltimore, I think. I think that's where he is. He got a scholarship, so this is his first year. So just a sweet young man. So I'm glad you're on. I'm glad you're listening. And I hope that you receive some information. I hope all of you get some information. That's going to be Morgan State University is where he is.
Morgan. Okay, yes. Well, we'll talk about it later. I coached against Morgan State in basketball. Yes.
Oh, come on, you just are all around. You need to write a book.
Let me go ahead and flash some of these rings. I ain't wear jewelry, but I can go get my rings on that. You championship ring. I'm gonna give you a little breakdown on that one too. Yes.
Oh wow. So you walked on. They took you. You played 4 years. Now, 2 years. What happened after the second?
That's what you're talking about. Transition in life. Okay. I walked on. At home, you quick backtrack of a lot of stuff I ain't told you about yet. So at home, when I was working for my uncle, my mom, like I said, an educator, wanted me to at least go to the community college. I went a semester and withdrew. Okay. And started doing, everything full-time. My uncle. I just wasn't ready for school, just doing business.
Wait, hold on. You said something key right there. You weren't ready. Sometimes we like to push people into areas that they're really not ready for. And to be totally honest, everybody is not cut out to go to college.
They're not.
And you can make a fantastic living with a trade from trade school, and you don't have student loans to pay back.
All day. Trade school. I tell people that all day long about that. And I try to tell parents, because I talk to a variety of parents, to get them to understand, listen, it is great that your kid wants to advance, but you got to find out where they want to advance to. You know what I mean? 4-year institution or 2-year technical trade and everything else, it would do. Like I said, my uncle had a 12th grade education. He was one of the wealthiest people in the state of Florida. Okay, people? That's all I'm trying to say. So come on. That's that. But yeah, you made a good point on that one. And so, like I said, I got there to school. When I walked on, there's a thing. That's what we're talking about. You have to learn steps and information. When I got to school, I didn't know there was a thing that your eligibility clock starts. Once you enroll anywhere full time, you have 5 years to do 4. So the time I got there, I was going into my 5th year, but they redshirted you the first year, and then going into the second year, I had went through had the whole lot of hardship case because they said I had no more years of eligibility. And so after that second year, I couldn't play anymore. Now, as you know me, like you know me, I'm a pretty popular guy, so everyone would know, and all my friends would be with me, and they were freshmen, sophomore, and so all of them are playing, starting as freshmen and sophomores at Florida State, just when we were really becoming one of the dominant programs in the country. And so we go everywhere. It's like, well, hey, we see Terry, we see Reggie, we see Leroy, we see Dawson, we see Dexter. Well, Goo, why you not playing? Well, you know this. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? And so at days I cried. I actually cried because I couldn't play, or I was hampered by not my ability, by something I knew nothing about. So, and I will get a little deeper on that. And so that was part of my transition to make the first round of adjustments of understanding school and sports. So,
yeah. So in actuality, you said that you only get 5 years from start to finish, whether you start at that school or not. You get 4 years. So let's start right there. What would you tell people that where their sons or their daughters are interested right now in playing some type of sport when they go to college? What do they need to do first right off the bat?
First, right off the bat, let's break this all the way back down. You know, we've got to go through the basic stuff: clearing house, getting their grades together, getting their test scores right. You know, that stuff that they really need to take care of. So that's just being a regular student anyway. As an athlete, I tell folks at the end of the day, you have to figure out, really be realistic about what path you want from your child. I grew up in an area, I'm in Florida. Most Florida parents, kids start playing at 6, 7 years old, 8 years old. Everybody going to the pros. And I tell them, everybody not going to the pros. You know what I mean? So you have to be real about stuff. So football is big in Florida. So, I mean, there's, you know, it's big. It's bigger than pro football. So I can tell you that much. The second thing, basketball is another level of sports. And it depends on male or female. Now, I coach men, but I coach college women basketball also. And I, as became a junior college coach later, did not realize the benefit of junior college basketball, because I was in the progression like most people. If you ain't go to a 4-year school, you went to a 2-year school, that means you wasn't good enough. I had to learn the process. So like I said, it all depends on narrowing. So I would tell anyone, if they have a daughter that is a college player, 9 times out of 10, if she's not good enough to play at UConn, South Carolina, Duke, Notre Dame, or Louisville, send her to a JUCO.
Wow.
I would tell them the JUCO to send them to in the Panhandle where I coached at, because we're the #1 conference in the country. So Tallahassee is one school in Tallahassee, other one's in Mariana, the other one's in Fort Walton, Destin area, and the other one's in Pensacola. We're the top junior college country in the country, and all those kids go to major colleges.
Wow. Yes. Wow. Do you know that I had no idea? First of all, I didn't know that. I didn't know that junior college was so important. And it helps people who are not even ready for that 4-year college.
Correct.
When I was growing up, you know, like you said, you know, if you went to a junior college, there must be something wrong with you. You can't cut it. No, you got a plan. You working out your plan. That's what you're doing.
That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Wow. This is okay. I gotta stop saying wow. Somebody told me I say wow too much. But sometimes when I see something that's so valuable that in our community we don't take advantage of, oh man, it makes me go wow.
They do. And I got parents like right now, when kids come to school in the Tallahassee area, kids that people I went to school with, whatever else, they call me right away. You know, just their kids are regular students or athletes. Call me. I need you to come over. I meet them. There's Uncle Goo. If you got any problem, here go Uncle Goo. Uncle Goo gonna look after you. this and that, whatever else. Okay. But the same parents who try to get their kids in school and they're playing certain sports, whatever else, and I suggest to them, I say, no, I think they need to go to such and such. No, my kid ain't doing that. I said, well, don't call me. Don't call me now.
Right.
You call me and ask me because you're trying to get your kid somewhere. I asked you some stuff about your kid. When you told me what you told me, I said, look, here is the best course for him. That's from my experience as a player and as a coach. You know what I mean? That's it. And a mentor. Yes.
Wow. That is amazing. That is great information. Well, I was kidding earlier, but have you thought about writing a book, putting all of this information in a book form?
I hadn't thought about it. So
well, you may need to think about that because we need this.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know this. And I'm 50-something years old. I didn't know. Thank you, John, for tuning in tonight. Who else is watching? Thank you, Nene, for joining us tonight. We have our, as Danielle likes to say, let's reset the room. We have Mr. Hinton Battle on with us the second. And he is talking about his experience going from college to, he didn't go to the NFL. So how did he maneuver that? What did he do? What was his plan? And when you hear his story and you listen to all of the things that he's involved in, he didn't fall apart when NFL didn't come knocking on his door. He had a plan. He started doing other things. So that's what we're talking about tonight. He has several nonprofits. He works for a well-known person. If I called his name, you would know who he is. So and you've probably seen him on television if you look close enough. He's been there. And
listen, Sonya, all that's open. You can say a lot of that stuff if you want to. Yes, you can.
Well,
so, I'll just let you know.
He works for Ben Crump. So and he was very instrumental in the, what's his name?
George Floyd family.
George Floyd case. So he is a man full of knowledge, and I'm excited to be here. So you figured out in college that you were not going to the NFL. You went.
Yes, and I'm gonna be straight with you. I never had a desire to play pro football.
Okay.
I always was a business guy. All my life. Always was a business guy. Now, all my friends that came in with me or ones that came after me. Quick story. We came in, we were the second good class for Florida State to start winning. But when our class came in, 9 of our guys flunked out the first year.
Wow.
The second class that came behind us, 11 of them flunked out. Okay? So I had everybody, the next class, everybody come to my dorm room. I sat them down. All the different positions. You play defensive back, you're over here. You play linebackers over here. You play running back, you're over here. You're this over here. I say, okay, this is how Coach Sexton is. This is how Coach Easton is. This is how Coach Amata is. This is how Coach Burnham is. This is how Coach Andrews is. This is what they expect from you, okay? And at the time we were at Florida State, we were actually doing phone registration, even though we had an advisor. So I took all of them down and write down, because you'll know that with me, when you've been with me, you always have to be with a pad or something. I said, look, these are the classes you will take your first semester. Write them down. Well, Goo, I say it one more time. These are the classes that you're going to take. And so for the next 2 years, that's what I did for the incoming classes. They would take their classes. Then when I would take them, and I would take them on campus, and we'd go around campus to teach them to be familiar with campus. So they know how to get there, how to do everything it is. Then I would teach them things outside of school. One of my benefits, as you know, you've been a few places with me. I know people, always do. So I would teach them how to meet, greet, and talk to our boosters. I say, look, if all they know is your number and your name on the back of your shirt, you don't have an opportunity, because there are some guys on our team that are going to really well. They're going to go to the next level, but the majority of y'all not. But even if you go to the next level, you need to know these people in the stands. And so I would teach them. We would go places. We'd go to their businesses. We'll go sit down and talk with them. We'll go see them. I'll take them down.
You doing this while you were a student?
I was a student. Oh
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So I talk in the business part, and then I taught in the social part. So I would have that whole group take everybody over to FAMU campus, or somebody would have an event, you know what I mean, or set up things that would happen on campus. Quick story. When you get to it, it's not like you try to be an influencer, but you are a person who galvanizes people. And so we had a educator who were getting a lot of Black kids into summer enrichment programs at Florida State. And once they get in summer enrichment program, they'll be able to get in Florida State automatically. Okay. So they're getting ready to cut the budget and get rid of him. And so Attorney Crump, but he wasn't Attorney Crump at that particular time. He was one of the guys, and a couple of them that were over like advisors with the as students, but student advisors for the camp, because they get all the kids to come in. So he comes and find me in the union. He said, "Goo, get all the athletes together." He said, "We're going to march to the front of the school." Okay. So I got all the football players. We were always close. All the basketball players were close with us. Track, women's basketball, all of us were all close. We all hang out. So we got with Ben and we marched from the union all the way to the front of campus. Mm-hmm. We shall overcome. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's all we knew. We know all the verse. That's all. We sung it all the way to the front of the school. So we in the front of the school, y'all. So we sitting up there in the front, and we standing up, Ben walking back and forth. We ain't gonna put up for this, right? Yeah, say it, Ben, say it. That's that. Yeah, say it. So then police show up, campus police. Campus police shows up and said, we want to let y'all know this is an unlawful assembly. And if y'all don't leave, we're going to take y'all to jail. I said, Ben, we all on scholarship. And we going to see you later. We dispersed. Okay, then? So point I'm making is that getting groups and getting our guys to understand different choices, being as sociable as we could while we're in school, mm-hmm. understanding business principles of dealing with folks. And also we did a lot of community related projects back then too. I had some, a lot of times they didn't want to, and I would have to tell them they would have to, you know what I mean? If they want access to what I had, you know? Like, mm-hmm. So when I go places and we go to the parties and whatever else, if they can stand in the back with the rest of the crew or walk through with us. So if you do, these are things you have to do for others. So I was doing that.
That is absolutely amazing that you were doing that while you were still taking classes. So on a side note, you knew Attorney Crump from way back when?
1987.
Wow. So did he go to Florida State with you?
Yes.
Wow. It is absolutely amazing that we need that type of that person, that you in other colleges, because sometimes our people go to college and they don't have a clue. No. All they know is mama wanted me to go to college, and they're not focused. They don't have a plan. They think it's party time, hangout time. They don't know anything about scheduling. They don't know how to study. They don't even know how to pick a subject matter that they want to study. So correct. We're just not college ready.
You're correct. You're correct. You are correct.
I don't know any other way to put it. We're not ready. We think we're ready, but when you start seeing all of those fees, and I have to tell you, I remember when I went to South Carolina State. And I was the first one in my family to actually, my mom went to college, but she dropped out. So mm-hmm. I was really the first one to actually go to college and continue the course. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what work study was.
Correct.
I could have graduated from South Carolina State, but my mama said, okay, I run out of money. Okay, you got to come home and go to Augusta College. I didn't know I could get work study.
Correct. Now, like I say, a lot of things available to you. We just did not know, you know what I mean? And like you said, and that was it. It was a whole lot of stuff folks didn't know, and you had to have folks who were willing to show you, teach you, and you had to have a willingness to learn to follow it. So yes. Yes.
I remember in freshman orientation at South Carolina State, the man said, "Look to your left, look to your right. One of y'all ain't gonna be here come next week."
That's what they tell you. That's what they tell you. I've got a a good friend still today. We were in the class, so it's like 200. And it was the first day, and she was in there crying and everything else. And she walked out with her mom, and I went over to her and her mom and said, "What's the problem?" I said, "Look, mom, don't worry about it. I got her. This and that." I said, "Look, here's what you're gonna do. Your mama done brought you up here. We're gonna go in here and do this, get this thing, sign your paperwork, get this class, and keep it going." And she loves to tell everybody that story. Koo was the first one that took care of me when I got to school. He told my mama, "Don't worry about it. I got it." My mama ain't know him, but my mama just felt so good about him. She just turned her loose. And I look at her and say, "Mama, you ain't know this dude. You just gonna give him to me." You know what I mean? So, but it was just a part of, just certain things about learning. But yeah, a lot of people, to the best of the ones who do know, are scared, and those who don't know are scared. So it's the same level. Yes.
Yeah. So in actuality, you started in college doing what you're doing now.
Correct.
Now have you always been the type of person that would provide support to your community or to the people around you, or just help wherever it is needed?
I tell everybody I've been that way since I've been 3.
Wow.
That's why I love Zachary so much. I've been that type of kid since I've been 3.
Well, he's a whole handful.
Okay, I've been that way since I've been 3. Yes.
Wow, that is amazing. That's amazing. So when you were in college, did you study business? What was your major?
I was a theater major in school.
Really?
Yes. I didn't tell you a lot about that too. Yes, I dance, I act, I model. I've done national television commercials, Pepsi Cola. I didn't talk none of you about that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Danielle is a theater major.
I know. Yes, everybody. When we start talking about that, that's why we've been clicking from day one. Oh yes, we're thespians. Yes, we are. Yes.
And you mentioned earlier that your cousin is in theater and
3-time Tony Award winner. He played the Scarecrow in The Wiz with Stephanie Mills. He was in Dreamgirls, the original Dreamgirls. He's a choreographer, and in Dreamgirls, he was in the movie. He won a Tony Award for that. He won another one for Miss Saigon, but he did Ain't Misbehaving. He did oh goodness, everybody like that, the Lindy Hop.
Well, my favorite is
yeah. And then he was top choreographer. Him and
Debbie Allen.
Debbie Allen, choreographed, for many years, all the top shows and stuff. But yeah, he's known as the tap dance kid. That's how Alfonso Ribeiro got Carlton from the Fresh Prince. How he got discovered. They did this whole Broadway show under my cousin of how he was when he was younger till he grew, and it was called The Tap Dance Kid. And Alfonso Ribeiro played him as little young Hinton as he grew up and did. And so that's how he got discovered. And they helped him get that commercial with Michael Jackson, and the rest is history on that one. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Somebody said this information needs to be out there, especially for at-risk kids. It's imperative for those youth to have someone to lead them in the direction of college, especially those who want info and don't know where to get it. Absolutely, without question. Without this, I'm sorry, you got to write another book. I mean, you got to write a book. I'll help you with it. I'll help you with the outline, and Danielle is going to publish it. But you got to. I'm sorry. This book should be given to students that are graduating or that are in the 11th grade, so they can start planning.
Yep.
It's more than a notion when you talk about, what am I going to do with my life next? You're getting ready to graduate. I really believe that one of my friends, her son is sabotaging some things because he's not ready. He doesn't know what to do.
Right.
And he's a senior. He just doesn't know what to do. So he's messing up in some areas.
It's tough. And like I have a grandson now who's a senior, and just to be transparent, I was at my daughter's house the other night. You know what I mean? And we're sitting there discussing. He's sheltered. Okay. My daughter, then they shelter him. You know what I mean? He's the oldest, so he kind of takes care of the siblings. His sister, that's 2 years younger than him, as a 9th grader, she's in one of the special programs down here that she goes to school on the college campus. So it's not a regular dual enrollment. They have it where she started taking her college courses the second year. So she's actually on the campus going. So she'll at the end of the year, she'll have her AA. And so she's getting on him like, you don't know what you want to do and whatever. I said, hold on, let's pull up. I said, most, in my experience, Black males don't know what they want to do. I say, so the biggest thing is, the key is a lot of them don't have certain exposure. You know what I mean? I say, like, women catch it a whole lot quicker than men do. You know what I mean? As far as school, as far as gravitating or knowing where they want to go. I say a lot of men don't, especially Black men. I say, all I got, my son-in-law, they like Florida State too. He's just gonna go to Florida State. I say, well, look, this is where I put my foot down. He's just not going to Florida State. He's going to Tallahassee Community College. It's already said, y'all ain't got to worry about none of his schooling. I'm paying for all his college. He'll be good. He'll get in over there. He'll get in smaller classes. Go ahead and get just what he needs. And I say, in TCC offers a program. Once he finished those 2 years, he can go to Florida State automatically. He can go to FAMU automatically, or he can go to 12 other universities in the United States automatically when he finished there. I say, so you all, once again, they're fighting me. They don't know the process. I say, don't fight granddaddy who puts kids through college for the last 20-some years.
Wow.
You know? So just I'm not keeping y'all out of it, but listen what I'm trying to tell you. I dealt with the format as a college coach and as a person who is a surrogate parent to all these other people who keep dropping their kids off. I can pull up my phone right now. People that came into school when we were out of town. Where you at? You ain't in town? My daughter's here. My son's here. I got one cousin. They called me last night, 12 a.m. I'm like, look, call the next day. Yeah, because I'm letting you know she's up here. Okay. So, but they just don't know. They have to learn. But you have to get them exposed to it. That's all.
Yeah, exposure is key. And one of my nieces likes to say, exposure can just change your world. There's so many things that we as a Black community, we are not exposed to. Even when I look at the hospital, I was administrator in a hospital for several years. And when I first started in the hospital, I would look at, what do you do? I never heard of what they're doing. They're making buku money, and it's not a doctor, it's not a nurse, but the hospital needs more than just a doctor and a nurse.
Yep.
And now that all of the records are computerized, you know, when there's an issue with the computer, when there's something that's not working right with the record, you can't pull it up. You don't need a nurse or a doctor for that.
Nope.
You need IT.
That's it. You gotta have IT.
Yeah, and there are so many things that we haven't been exposed to that, and it hinders us from being our best self.
Correct. You are correct.
And there's so much more. Everybody doesn't have to be a doctor. Everybody doesn't have to be a lawyer. Everybody doesn't even have to be a teacher. But when we don't expose our kids to places, they don't know anything else. They think that that's all there is to it. I remember Danielle used to take her kid was very active in ballet. And I had one woman tell me that, you know, we weren't exposed to this growing up. We didn't have this growing up. How have y'all always done this? Yeah, sort of. I mean,
it was there, you know what I mean? Like I said, just certain, and we understand it. Certain people just did not know, you know what I mean? And like I said, some people haven't been out their county. And like I always tell about, some people ain't been across the bridge, you know what I mean? And so that's a lot, you know what I mean? And that's a lot that you take for granted, you know?
Hey, look, we're already at 7:39. We're not supposed to be already here yet. We haven't even talked about your projects. You all, if you're just joining me, I am Sonya Cruel, and tonight we are talking about college football and beyond. We're talking about, you know, after college football, where do you go? What's the transition like? What do you do? How do you plan for after college? A lot of people think that they're going to the NFL or the NBA, and you're not going. So you need to have a plan. You need to know what's next for you. So if you're just tuning in, I would encourage you to go back and listen to the beginning. Great information that was given. I want to transition a little bit and talk about your justice work.
there's been a whole years of life for my justice work. As far as, early years, being on the front line, growing up in the area in Fort Myers, like I say, having that uncle. I grew up with a lot of strong Black people, a lot of strong Black people. My dad was, well, but sadly, I'll put it this way. My granddad, didn't like people of a certain tone, color, and so bad he wouldn't even watch them on TV. Okay, so understanding the whole fight of being treated as a human being and treated as a person. So it was in my life early because at my mom's school I was the second class of integration in elementary. And so the one thing when I was coming up, grandparents, great aunts, everybody told you always as smart as the other folks. Yeah. And so it was always a thing of proving yourself, from basic stuff. So it did not matter how smart you was or how good you were always looked at a certain way. And so that started early for us about justice and fighting and learning. So my big thing was always want to know the rules of the game. So I always was learn the rules of the game. That meant the laws, that meant the restrictions, that meant the whatever you could access or could not access. And so that transpired. And so I was out there. So over the years, I've always been in the background because as I know, and I was a quarterback all my life and a point guard, as a leader, someone leads. But at the same time, I had star players on my team that were stars greater than me at times. So you feed them, as we say, feed them the ball. And so since Trayvon Martin time, there's a guy I've been with and I've been feeding him the ball. You know what I mean? So I'm okay with that. There are a lot of people who are not. I'm okay with that because it ain't about me. He the face. We gonna get this stuff here done. We make sure the face is going. And so my plight has been, with that. But there are other people I help get in office for years, for support. So I'll get galvanized people to support these, rally, vote, register, and all the aspects. So I've done a lot of that kind of around the country more than a lot of people really know about. So yes, that's been my big fight when it comes to justice, social justice. So tell
us a little bit about your one. Well, which one you want to talk about first?
No, we'll talk about. Well, since we're talking about justice, we'll talk about the Justice for All. The Justice for All is my new foundation. We actually it all came about a year ago in June, June, when we started working on the George Floyd case. And so I was and Steve, who you met, we were the big part of handling logistics. So what everybody saw when you saw the memorial service in Minneapolis, and then the funeral in North Carolina, and then the viewing of the body in Houston, then the funeral service, whatever. So all that migration we handle. So with that, I still had to handle Ben speaking his setup, and then we get calls from everybody. I was handling those calls with a whole lot of different stuff, and so a lot of people wanted to support, and so we had to come up with something where that it could be to the part where people say, well, look, I'm not on the front line, dude, but I want to support your cause and what you're doing. So I was trying to specialize for the fact that everybody got so much galvanized due to the fact of the loss of George Floyd and how it happened, and everybody saw it. We were trying to put together a piece to where we were to that we can help, because a lot of the families that we deal with are a lot like a lot of people who win the lottery. They have a little money, little education, and they won 20 million, And so with that, there was a lot of things that we decided that we were going to do with my group, to help structure, because I was part of certain families. I helped the structure. I had to put together 1, the GoFundMe, 2, the bank accounts, 3, the trust funds, all that type of stuff to get with the people on there, get the copyright laws right, get their trademarks of their family members' pictures and all that type of stuff. And so that was the one part we were looking at for the Justice for All, to be a service to different groups that we run into and different foundations to make a change inside their communities, because we had the expertise of what it is to get done if they want to do a variety of stuff. If they want to start holding developmental programs, if they want to do mental health programs, if they want to do education piece, whatever aspect that they wanted to do on that part, that was the reason why we end up doing Justice for All. Now, since that time, the wave has shifted. They forgot about black people getting killed by police. Everybody ain't riled up about nothing. All these pledges that these major corporations have put out there, they didn't give about this much of money. And so we were okay with it, but my whole thing was being the resource. And so we made our adjustment to what I felt was one that was going to be long-standing, okay? Because emotions go for so long. We've got to be part of the long game. And so our part of Justice for All, what I decided to do was areas what I call freedom, okay? So the number one freedom I look at more and more is when I was young, my older relatives always say they woke up in their right mind. And I never could understand what they was talking about till you got older, okay? Mental health is a strong piece that has affected us and been affecting us for so long. So we added the mental health aspect that we have under Justice for All, okay? So that's that freedom. You got to be able to be free. Your mind's good, you can do, okay? Second, as you know, partnering up with doing the clean slate, the freedom to be able to get an apartment, to get a job, not to being held back because this record that you had since you were 18, 19 years old, 20 years old is affecting you, okay? The third one was the freedom of knowing, like we were talking about, knowing about stuff. So we have a piece where we actually call it more business culture. We're not putting people, we have a piece where we do put people, but we're really just trying to teach people about basic stuff. And business is a lot of times going to school. What is the process of going to school? What is the process of finding how to get scholarship dollars, or, you know, or just how business works. So that's the other part. And the other freedom is you got to have good health. You can't do anything unless you have good health. So you being free on that part. So we add the health component to it, where we'll be doing these areas like we do. We'll have a pop-up clinic where a company we teamed up with to be able to get the services to people. And about 90 to 95% of the people, it will not be any cost to, you know? So that is kind of where we are with saying Justice for All, because for me, all of those fit in what we need to be justified, because we're not justified in, you know, in health disparity. So that's killing us. You know what I mean? We're not specialists in certain areas. Like I said, mental health aspect for us, quick. When somebody else goes shoot a school up, he's got a problem. Okay. When one of us just done something, you know, okay, so you got where I'm getting at, you know. And so that's where we are with that piece on that. And so the funding and things we get, as we did like this past weekend, we started teaming up with the HBCUs, FAMU, since I deal with them a whole lot, to do the scholarship piece that we can start with the athletes, because two parts. I want to get a chance to help those programs do as a Florida State, you know what I mean, to have certain resources and stuff. But at the same time, we're going to offer the services of the mental health piece to former players. And that stuff will be no charge to them. And so that's the big thing we're trying to do for Justice for All.
So it blows my mind in that we as African Americans don't realize how much stress we've been under, and that's been passed down to us. You know, when the Jews had the Holocaust, they got therapy. They got a big thing for them.
Yeah.
So they got some reformations. They got some
yes,
stuff.
They did. Yes, so, they did. Plenty stuff. They're still getting it.
Yeah. So but for the African Americans who came down from slavery, we got nothing. We didn't get any counseling. Some of the things that I see going on right now it came from slavery. The way sometimes we beat our kids, honey, that's pure from slavery. How the master used to beat. some of our ancestors, the way sometimes we think about some things. I read this book called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. Excellent book, excellent book. Dr. Joy talks about some of our habits and some of our things that we do. It all comes from slavery.
Right.
And to think that, you know, we don't want anybody knowing our business. We don't want anybody looking at our kids, thinking that they're going to do something to them. That's fear from slavery.
It is.
I remember one of the stories in her book. Dang, it's 7:50. I gotta hurry up. I remember one of the stories in her book. She talked about how two women are at the bank. One is black, one is white. The white woman lets her little boy run around and experience and touch and see things because he's at the bank and it's new. The black woman says, "No, you stand right here next to me.
Don't you move. Don't you say nothing. Don't you do nothing. Don't you."
Yes. They don't want you because I don't want the master to see you and think that you're gonna be good in the field or good in his bed. So you stay right here next to me.
Yeah.
It's so prevalent. And even in the school system, I remember talking to a parent about her daughter, and I would say, "Ma'am, you really need to take her to be assessed." She's talked about committing suicide 3 times. She talked about how she's tried it 3 times.
Yes.
The mom said she just want attention. I just take her. So over the weekend, the mom made her sleep with her, but she wouldn't take her to get treatment.
Nada, you know. So.
But your daughter says to you, whether she's seeking attention, whether she's something is really wrong, but the fact that she said that she tried to kill herself 3 times, that should raise a red flag somewhere.
Somewhere should have went off, you know. But we're in denial, you know what I mean? Because you know there's a whole nother subject on that.
Yeah.
We do in denial. Yes.
And for our athletes, whether male or female, your dream all along is to go to the NFL. That doesn't happen.
Nope.
Trauma has happened, and we need to deal with that.
That's it. You know what I mean? And so that's why quickly throw in there while I'm doing the mental health piece dealing with athletes, because I've got guys that were under me and whatever else. I've got several of them that have taken their lives. I got several of them that are very abusive to their kids and to their family. And I got some of them who don't even come back because they can't function in regular everyday society. You know what I mean?
Yes. And not to mention of you. So you make it to the NFL. Honey, what is that? Somebody pounding your head or beating you? What is that? What has that done to your psyche? What has that done to your brain?
It is. I mean, it's done a lot, and we don't realize we push that. And people ask me all the time now for years since my youngest was playing. I tell folks all day, I say, don't let your child play football. But you said that. I said, yeah. I said, when you know better.
You do better.
That's what I'm trying to say. I said, look, there's a whole lot more. And I say, especially if a kid is born after 2000, they're in the best situation to be successful with stuff because there's so much technology, so much access, so much service stuff, everything that they can do now that they can have a great living, not just a good living. They can really have a great living now. Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about Project Goo. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Project Goo came about because those athletes that I had that actually went to the league, I made sure that they had nonprofits to do back into the community. And so I had several big name ones that I was working with that have really big. One's very big in Atlanta area. So one of my close friends, which is Ward Dunn.
Is that your cousin?
Who? No, Ward Dunn's. Ward Dunn, gives away homes to single mothers. Yeah. And I have programs. He's giving away almost 200 houses. So, yeah. So, So it's a big part of that. So him and some of the other ones. And so after I did so many, I decided to come up with my own. And so when I did my own, I ended up doing a feeding program. So I feed about 5,000 families a year for Thanksgiving. Wow. Yeah. So we do. I give away turkeys. We do all the side food. I mean, vegetables. Fruit. dairy, everything we all had set up. So I've been doing that now for 13 years.
Wow. That is absolutely amazing. You all, mind, we are coming up on 7:55. This has been such an amazing conversation. You are the best jack of all trades I have ever met in all of my life. I just want you to know that. And again, we thank you for what you do for our community. Even though you're in Florida, we're gonna let you have that. But we thank you for what you do for even for the people that are in Florida. We thank you for the education that you provide for them, whether it's related to college or whether it's related just to life. Because sometimes we don't have that. Even though we can grow up in two-parent households, if they didn't get it,
nope.
you just don't have it. You just
yep.
Wow.
And I gotta tell people it's no excuse. Like I said, I didn't grow up with a father. My dad got killed when I was 8. So it was just me and my mom. So I understand, but ain't no excuse.
Yeah. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, how would you suggest? Would you suggest that
Justice for All? Yeah. Justice for All piece would be the best one. Yes, to get with us on that.
And tell us about your one thing I read on your page about growth therapy. Now, is there a fee for that?
No, the growth therapy part is not a fee, and that's what I'm getting additional funding for. So that's the part where we actually, with the growth therapy piece, is where they actually get the free counseling. So they can go on the site, and that's why we're starting right now to get people to register and doing that aspect. We kind of started that on the back end. Last year, we got some funding from the Knight Foundation, which is a big foundation and owns a newspaper down the Miami Herald down in Miami, and we did it for Black entrepreneurs because they're going through the crisis. And so they gave us a little pot of money that we were able to go and have those sessions and do to that piece right there. And it went really well for a lot of folks, and they've been trying to get back to it. And so to get additional funding of the resources we have and others, that's why I was thinking about the athletes, because of the major universities that I deal with in the Black colleges. I'm telling people, look, us being the gladiators were on the field. When the lights went out, our lights don't go out. You know what I mean? So what are you going to do to support us? You sent your kid to that college because education was good, but there was a good football team.
Yeah.
Or was a good basketball team. You know what I mean? So y'all was there rooting and did all that. But now those gladiators need help. So y'all gonna have to give me some help. Yes.
So how can people give to your initiative?
In the initiative, we also have a donate button on there to the site that they can go on there, Justice for All Foundation.org, and they can donate directly to that on there at the same time also. Yes.
So I guess my final question is going to be, can you tell us about the scholarship, the JFA scholarship that you gave out this past weekend at Florida A&M?
Florida A&M University. Yes. The big thing is dealing with, I can tell you honestly, I've been dealing with FAMU for so long that anybody that went to FAM after the 90s, they think I went to FAMU. So a lot of people will tell you, no, who went to FAM? So that's how, like I said, I was in so many campuses. Same thing on Morris Brown, AU Center. We'll talk about that another time. Yeah, all day. So, so I got with him, great athletic director, young guys really doing some great things. So I want to team up with him to be a benefit to help their program. Like I said, I've been a benefit of FAM and Florida State, but being that the catalyst is growing there, I have a cousin who is very famous to most people, who's the head coach now at Jackson State, and he's bringing that awareness to HBCU, and Jackson State is really getting a whole lot of stuff now. And so
give his name out.
Mr. Primetime, Deion Sanders. So Deion is doing extremely well over there for Jackson State. And so the same thing I'm doing here. I'm starting with FAM, and I'm going to go through the SWAC that the scholarship will go in. And then my biggest thing is to come in with the services on 2 parts. One, for former athletes, especially football players, to have them to be able to get the service for the mental health.
Yes.
The second part in that aspect is to come in with our other financial piece, because now athletes, even at major schools or Black colleges, are able to receive money for their likeness and the image. When we were coming up, we couldn't do that. They made millions off of it. And so my way is say, well, look, I can do a part where we can come in, give you 100,000, you know what I mean? And then start going to do the scholarships for your kids. Here are certain criterias of GPA that they got to meet. You know, they got to be, you know, in these certain standards. So we just not throwing the money out there. And so my goal is for our group is that we want to do it with all 12 SWAC schools. So I want to give 100,000 to all 12 of the schools and then go in and offer the services. And these services for the financial stuff is no charge. It will be no charge to the students because once again, we got our kids in there, like you said, but they don't know because most of their parents broke.
Yes. Come on now. That's
Can't budget it. Okay, don't get me started with that. That's a whole nother segment we'll talk about too. But yeah, So yeah, so I was very happy for that. And I can say this to you, you know that about me. As much as people know me and everything else, sometimes they make me step out in front and really, you know, talk about what I do. You know what I mean? So it was on the field, really good, really nice, you know. And, you know, a lot of my close friends like, bro, I didn't know you was doing this. Dude, you're doing it like that? One of my friends, mama say, Goo say you don't be nice, and you need to start being more nice to Goo.
Wow, that, oh my goodness.
But you know, that's it. We just gonna make an impact. So I'm gonna say to this and to your audience, when things happen as you move in life, the greatest thing people don't understand is the people that come in your life. So I'm gonna say this on live and on air. I am very thankful that of meeting your niece, Danielle Butler. In turn, allowed me to meet you, which has been a pleasant, so part of the team. And then also Miss J. Bell, you know what I mean? And so with that core group of folks outside of the people that are already new, but me and you all and being a part, this team and what we're trying to do is great impact. And I'm just so thankful that I got the opportunity to meet you all and do what we're doing right now.
I am so excited about our collaboration. I'm really excited about our future and what we're going to do for the community. I think that we can make a tremendous difference. We may not be able to reach everybody, but we can reach somebody. And we can help someone. That's what I think when I am in school. I'm there for purpose. You know, I took a cut in pay. Yes, I did, to work for the school system, but I'm there on business. I'm there to support those. I'm there to be an advocate for those kids, because sometimes the parents just don't know. And sometimes the parents are acting just like their parents acted and doing the same thing. And that's not working.
Nope.
Our kids are dying. Our kids they're dying emotionally and they're dying physically. Because they don't have what they need. And if I can help a kid, if I can advocate for a kid and say, no, you're not going to do this one like that, then, hey, my job is done. That's why I'm there. So I'm excited. Hey, Janice, how are you? Thank you for joining. Hey, I'm asking you if you're listening on the replay, make sure you say so that I can come back and comment and thank you for listening. Also, don't forget, you can always go back on the YouTube channel to watch any of the episodes previously. I can't believe we just celebrated our 5th year, 4.5 year.
All right.
A couple of months ago. So we've been talking about everything up under the sun. Again, my name is Sonya Cruel, and I am the transition coach, and we talk about everything as it relates to transition. So if you would join me in a couple of weeks, we're going to have some former NFL players talking about life after NFL. Goo, you probably be back. So I'm just letting you know up front. So we're going to talk about life after NFL. That's so important because you're not going to play football forever or basketball forever. Whatever your thing is, volleyball, whatever you do, is not. You got to have something else to do after that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Before we leave, Mr. Battle, final thoughts, sir.
The greatest thought I can say, listen, going back to my uncle, when you know, you teach, and when you have, you give. If we can stick with those two principles,
yes,
or whatever else, and things, and it will really get you. So if I can tell this one last story about my uncle, because he's special. Okay. Y'all have to meet my uncle. All right, so I'm gonna get real with you on this one. Okay, okay, I can get real with your audience.
Yep, because go ahead, because I'm writing down what you just said. When you know, you teach, and when you have, you give.
You give. So they were getting ready. We had just already finished building a subdivision in the Black area, and so getting ready. More money was coming down here because this area, Fort Myers area, has grown. So a lot of people know of it. Area people don't know this is where Thomas Edison laboratory was, and where he did most of the stuff for the light bulb. Ford Winter Home was down here, so they got the museum for all them and stuff. So everybody's blowing up down here, and so my uncle goes to the meeting. You know, most time the meeting, you've got most of the educators that are there. Educators that are there, and then we had a lot of black business owners when I was coming up. And my uncle's about 6'4", 6'5". He's old smooth, slow talking guy. So my uncle gets up, and the mayor and other people outside, they were trying to bring in other businesses from out of town, white businesses, to come in and get all these millions of dollars and build up our neighborhoods and stuff. So my uncle goes on, he said, look at him, Mr. Mayor. He told Mr. Mayor that he was the saltine dude, because y'all can pick up on that one. He told him he was a racist. He told him he was a Klan, and he was the mayor. I mean, all the news media was there, and he was crying and stuff. And my uncle said, yeah, them tears you crying must be the truth, because you got to be this. I mean, he was going in hard. I never seen my uncle going in. And so at the end of the night, you know, a lot of people was coming up to my uncle and was talking about, Mr. Battle, you can't talk to them white people like that. You shouldn't do that. My uncle said, listen. He said, nobody owes you nothing. And he said, white people don't owe you nothing. He said, you have to fight for everything that you're trying to get. It's just not going to be given to you and stuff. Well, this and that, whatever else. So we were in the truck, you all, and we head back. We ride. I didn't want to say nothing, but, you know, I come from an area, you just don't say nothing to adults, but I just had to get it. I said, look, I said, man, you went in kind of deep. You know what I mean? I felt kind of embarrassed. You was going in hard, whatever else. My uncle said the key phrases to me that I live by my business principles, okay? And I'm going to hit that last part at the end. But my uncle said, he said, half of the people in that room, I build their houses, and the other half rent from me. I tightened up my seatbelt and said, my brother, whatever you say, I'm going to do. I'm going to just shut my mouth and roll with you. You know, I can say, look, he said, I got another problem. He said, everybody else in there is scared of their job. He said, I create jobs. He said, it can't bother me. You know, that's where I wanted to be. So I'm just shutting my mouth, even though I ain't like a lot of stuff my uncle was doing. I did it. And that's where I've been all my life. You know, I do and go and say what I want to say, because can't nobody touch what I got going on. But the whole point that he was really trying to get the people to understand, it's like, listen, when you have ownership, that gives you the power to do for you and your family and your community if you want to, because none of them bother Mr. Battle. I'm telling y'all, my uncle walk in people's office and put his feet up on their desk. They was like, Mr. Battle, how are you today? I was like, where you is a bold Negro. Uncle don't play. I don't care where it's at. He'll pick up people and use their phone. They won't do nothing to Mr. Battle because they know there's one rich nigga. They don't want no part of him. That's all I want to say. Yes. Okay. I just want
somebody said snap.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Bad dude.
Ownership gives you the power to do for you, your family, and your community.
That's it. And that's how I'm able to do things. I always want ownership. I learned from him. He taught me he didn't teach me the way I want to learn. Because
can we meet Mr. Battle?
Say what now?
Can we meet Mr. Battle? Not you, the other one.
Oh yeah. Oh no, you can have him on the show. Listen, he love. Oh, that's right down his alley. You got the right one. Yes, all day. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Danielle, we got to have him out. I don't care if we do a special edition. I don't care what we do. We got to have Mr. Battle on the show.
Yes. The guy was ahead of his time. Quick thing, in the 80s, my uncle had a construction business, right? And so what he did, he had my aunt go, and I used to take her to Orlando, and she got her real estate license. So she got a real estate license, so they're able to get full commissions on selling their own houses, right? Then we got into the DOT. I started handling road construction projects. We had about 30, 35 dump trucks. We had heavy equipment. We had cars. I'm still mad by that because he never would give me a company car. So he gave all the other people work for him company car. So we had company car. So he opened an insurance company to insure all of his vehicles and his equipment. Okay. Then he opened a leasing company that he named after my daddy, Hinton's Leasing Agency, so he can lease everything that he's going to get from his leasing agency. Now, the man listen, he was a smart dude, y'all. He was a smart dude. I don't think he wasn't smart enough on him. He just wouldn't embrace his nephews to empower them. He always wanted us to be his he still do me like that now. He still teach me like his 12-year-old nephew until he sees me on TV. Well, nephew, I'm so proud of it. Oh, I had to be on NBC or CNN. I had to be on World News for you to realize, I've been doing this all my life. So yes, but he was a man ahead of his time. Everybody loves Mr. Battle. They love him to death. They love him.
So this is my last question. Are we going over a little bit, but I don't care. We here now. So how do you take care of yourself when you're dealing with all of the Trayvon Martins, all of the George Floyd, when you're dealing with all of that? How do you take care of yourself?
Well, I do eat properly. You know me, I got to have my breakfast. Generally, I have my coffee, oatmeal, and everything else. I do exercise. One, I do get my sleep. I tell everybody, generally, I'm in bed by 9:30, unless we got events or things going on. I'm at 9:30, and I'll sleep till 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? I'll get my sleep.
Goo be in the bed by 8:17.
Ooh, see that? See, boy, some people will tell you business. But I will get my sleep and rest. And then, like I said, there are times I'll take a break, and then I have good people around me who'll tell me, look, you can't keep telling everybody to take a break and you don't take one. It's like when I left, I'm over here down in the Fort Myers area. And so I was going to head back to Tally and then it's like, stay on down there and rest 2 more days. So I did sleep the last 2 days, getting some rest. And every now and then I'll work on, getting away. So when I have 1 or 2 events, like a family homecoming allows me, I can do work, but when I'm around other folks that I knew and dealt with, that kind of helps me. So,
but you did the Orange Classic. You did everything related to that. That was a full weekend. So what did you do to give yourself a break?
I just came over here and slept for a day and a half. That was it. So I'm back at it tomorrow.
All right. Well, so what's your next event?
We've got in Tallahassee. It's the first home game for FAMU, and in the community we have what is called Frenchtown Rising. So we have an area down in there, and so they have speakers, they have vendors and special, and we have free concerts. So this kickoff will be Avery's Adina Howard, JT Money, and somebody else I can't think for that particular one. Then I'll be gone, and I'll be in Atlanta twice over the next couple of months, and then Vegas, then Tally, and yeah.
You got a lot going on, my friend.
I forgot to go to Philly next Thursday. Okay, yeah.
Oh, well, I hope you get some rest. Well, you need to schedule in some rest or something.
Okay, I'll work on it.
All right. Well, Thank you, sir. Tonight has been so educational for me. And I'm really going to press you about that book. There's so much information. There's so much inside of you that we need and that our young people need. So I think your book is going to be my next book. So I'm excited about it, and we're going to get it done. thank you all again for watching, and catch us in a couple of weeks. And again, we're going to be talking about after the NFL, and hopefully we're going to have some former NFL players on talking about life after NFL. And we'll take some WNBA. We just want people to come on and talk about life after. But thank you for joining. And, you know, as I always say, don't forget to put your mask on, stay 6 feet apart. Don't believe these people that the pandemic is over. It's not over. And people still dying. And I want to see you and not view you. That's real important for me.
Good one.
All right, y'all. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
All right.